Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald for the week of Wednesday the 6th of May 2026. Brought to you by the volunteers of Q and Review Recording Service. This week your readers are Erin, Jahan and Karen. If you want to contact Q and Review, call 0141 772 3976.
Art inspires fashion show. This article was written by Jane Bradley. A fashion show inspired by artwork in the Burrell collection is to transform the museum's galleries into a catwalk runway for the first time. The Burrell collection will host the show by rising Scottish designer and Glasgow School of Art graduate Flora McFarlane, who will debut Return to the Garden, a 28-look collection inspired by the 9,000 treasures within the museum. The Burrell's galleries will become a runway, with designs presented among artworks that shape them. This project creates a bold new way to connect Sir William Burrell's historic legacy and his world-class collection with contemporary design, emerging talent, and future audiences. Flora's work, which draws on heritage textiles in the natural world, is infused with themes that closely reflect the richness of the museum's Chinese, French, and medieval artworks. Her collection features knitwear and bespoke tailoring that reflects the craftsmanship of the objects which gave rise to it. Guests will also have the rare opportunity to explore the museum after hours and meet the curators and conservators who care for the collection, offering deeper insight into the artworks that span 6,000 years of history. Flora said, "I am deeply inspired by Scotland's creativity and heritage, and my work is shaped by Scotland's significant contribution to art and design. My grandmother's family hail from Kirkintilloch and Galston, where they were artisans involved in the textiles industry and stone masonry." She went on to study at the Glasgow School of Art, and both my mother and I have followed in her creative footsteps. My designs reimagine Scottish heritage textiles through my own creative language. I've had the privilege of working with and learning from the continued traditional skills still practiced in cashmere mills in Howick, the last lace mill in Ayrshire, as well as a leather tannery in the west of Scotland, all of which have contributed to the development of this project. We are so lucky to have free museums like the Burrell collection filled with the world-class art and artifacts. Glasgow has been a constant source of inspiration since I began my studies at GSA in 2020, and I'm keen to encourage other emerging designers to stay in Scotland and draw inspiration from the treasures on our doorstep to spark their careers. Juliet Fellows-Smith, museum manager of the Burrell collection, said the venture demonstrated how museums can support new talent and connect historic collections with contemporary audiences. She added, "Flora's fashion offers an innovative, insightful interpretation of our world-class collection, and we are excited to see people's reactions. What makes it so exciting is that it shows young people they can create real opportunities for themselves here in Glasgow." Flora made a conscious decision to build her career in Scotland, taking inspiration from our collection and working with local makers, rather than feeling she had to go to London or Paris. Through the workshops and exhibition that follow, we want to be transparent about that journey, from inspiration to final collection. Flora is rapidly gaining recognition as a leading voice in Scottish fashion. The show is on Saturday, May 9th. This article was written by Jane Bradley and read by Erin. Big Stroll ended in Duk, thanks to supporters. This article was written by Julie Curry. East Dunbartonshire Befriending Service members turned their big stroll into a big splash, thanks to supporters. EDBS Senior Community Link Worker and Fundraiser Leslie Shaw roped in her fellow befriending staff members, Service Manager Dawn Bunce, Caroline McGlattery, Fiona Friel, and Vida Ababani, to take on the big stroll at the Glasgow Kilt Walk on Saturday, April 25th. They were joined by volunteers Lee Hodgkinson, Geraldine McCann with her friend Lynn Ralph, and Paul Harrison, who wore his kilt for the 14.5-mile walk from Clydebank to Loch Lomond. Dawn promised to take the plunge into Loch Lomond if supporters helped them reach £1,500 and to take in a fellow team member if they hit £2,000. In the end, the team managed to raise more than £3,000 and Dawn kept her promise, dragging in Paul and Fiona for a refreshing dip in the loch after their walk. She said, "It was a lovely sunny day, so it was really refreshing. It was okay up to the knees, but it was a bit nippier when we went under fully. A promise is a promise, though, and we were all delighted to have raised more than £3,000 for the service. We'd like to thank everyone who supported us. It's a huge boost for us." Sadly, an injury prevented Leslie joining the team on the day. However, she transported members to and from the walk, cheered them on along the way, and met them at the finish line with wellness packs to restore their energy. As for the walk itself, it was hard going, but the camaraderie kept the team going. Dawn said, "Everyone was walking for different charities, and it really helped keep your spirits up. One of the things that touched us most was seeing a display by children from the sick kids, thanking people for walking for them and wee notes of encouragement. That bit really got to us." In addition to Leslie supporting them on the walk and the Loch Lomond Duck, Dawn had her own biggest supporters there to cheer her on. She added, "My mum Maddie, who is a volunteer befriender, and my 14-year-old daughter Poppy gave me a huge hug at the finish line. It was lovely to see them both." This article was written by Julie Curry and read by Erin. Candidates vying for your votes. This article was written by Julie Curry. The countdown is well and truly on to decide which candidates will be elected for the 3 constituency seats in the Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald area. This week, we feature the 5 candidates who are vying for election in Strathkelvin and Bearsden, which covers the vast majority of the readership area, as well as the 5 candidates for Coatbridge and Criston, which takes in Steps and Moodiesburn, and the 6 candidates for Glasgow Easterhouse and Springburn, which covers Barmulloch, Ballarnock, and Robroyston. Each of these candidates has been given a chance this week to speak directly to readers ahead of the Scottish Parliament ballot on Thursday. A host of candidates and parties are also hoping to score readers' votes to secure the regional list ballot, again with 3 areas covered in the Herald's patch. In the area covered by the Strathkelvin and Bearsden constituency seat, there are 20 parties or independent candidates campaigning for the West Scotland region. Readers in the Coatbridge and Criston constituency will cast their votes for one of 15 parties listed in the Central Scotland and Lothians West region. And voters in the Glasgow Easterhouse and Springburn constituency will cast 1 vote for the 17 parties or independent candidates listed for the Glasgow region list MSPs. On Thursday, May 7th, voters will be given 2 ballot papers, a lilac one for the constituency contest and a peach one for the political party or independent candidate to represent their region. Voters are asked to cast just 1 vote on each ballot. This will ensure their votes are safely counted and not deemed as spoiled. For a full list of candidates standing for parties or as independents, visit https://whocanIvotefor.co.uk. The Scottish Parliament election will take place this Thursday, May 7th. Polling stations will open across the country from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., with accounts taking place the following day. The Scottish Parliament is made up of 129 MSPs. Of that total, 73 represent constituencies, with the remainder being list MSPs. This article was written by Julie Curry and read by Erin. Delivering money advice while caring for patients. This article was written by Julie Curry. Thousands of patients, families, and staff across NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde are being supported each year with money worries. It's all thanks to the board's Financial Inclusion Partnership services. Delivered through a network of hospital-based money advice services, teams provide confidential support to help people manage financial pressures at a time when health concerns are often their main focus. As the cost of living continues to rise, more people are finding it harder to make ends meet. For others, a change in personal circumstances, such as illness, bereavement, the birth of a child, relationship breakdown, or loss of employment, can lead to immediate and unexpected money worries. By offering impartial advice within hospital settings, the services help people navigate these challenges. Patients can access support through dedicated money advice services based in most NHS GGC hospitals. Referrals can be made by staff, or patients can self-refer, ensuring help is available quickly and without stigma. NHS GGC staff can also make use of the help and advice on offer. Julie McGahan, NHS GGC Health Improvement Lead for Poverty and Financial Inclusion, said, "Our hospital staff, as trusted sources of information and support for patients, have shown that they are well positioned to help tackle poverty by referring patients to our on-site hospital money advice services. Getting assistance with money worries can improve overall well-being and promote a patient's ability to comply with treatment advice. Patients have told us that in some cases, after years of struggling to make ends meet, getting help with money worries while in hospital has been life-changing." The services work closely alongside NHS GGC's support and information service, creating a joined-up approach that recognizes the impact financial pressure can have on health, recovery, and well-being. Through this integrated model, patients can receive help with benefits, debt, household energy costs, and access to grants or wider financial support. Crucially, advice is tailored to individual circumstances, helping people understand what they may be entitled to and how to apply. Supporting people to access Social Security benefits is a key part of the service's work. NHS GGC also has a partnership with Social Security Scotland to provide targeted support at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, helping patients who may be newly entitled to benefits following a change in health status. For patients with a terminal diagnosis, timely financial advice can be particularly important. The fast-track process allows clinicians to evidence eligibility for disability benefits quickly, ensuring applications are processed faster and usually at the highest rate. Completing this process as early as possible can make a significant difference. Visit www.nhsggc.scot/services-a-to-z/money-advice-services to find out more. This article was written by Julie Curry and read by Erin. Last Call in Wood Hill. This article was written by Julie Curry. Veteran singer-songwriter Steve Tilston is on tour in the UK from May to July, playing songs from throughout his career. Among the 13 dates, he'll be performing on Wednesday, June 24th, in the Nova Scotia Folk Club at The Hub in Woodhill Evangelical Church, Bishopbriggs. 55 years on from his debut album, Steve will be playing songs from throughout his career, including his highly acclaimed final album, Last Call. Released over half a century on from his first, Acoustic Confusion, it is on a par with his finest. Steve looks both back and ahead as he traverses the musical spectrum from social and political comment to rustic reflection, from autobiography to eternal geographical history, across blues, traditional folk, poetry, and even a hint of jazz. It's a thing of audible joy and circumstantial sadness. Born in Liverpool, raised in the Midlands, and now based in Yorkshire, Steve is one of the UK's most celebrated songsmiths. He has become widely recognized within the world of folk and contemporary music. The words, arrangements, and subtle but quite superb guitar playing could be no one else. The writer of classics such as The Slipjigs and Reels, Here's to Tom Paine, and the award-winning The Reckoning, Steve continues to surprise with his songwriting prowess. He is also a dazzling guitarist, drawing from folk, blues, jazz, and classical to create a sound that is recognizably Tilston. Steve was the inspiration for the film Danny Collins, which starred Al Pacino, when the story of his lost letter from John Lennon inspired the Hollywood movie. His songs have also been recorded by various artists including Fairport Convention, Dolores Keane, The House Band, Peter Bellamy, North Craig, Bob Fox, and Les Barker. Now fans in the East End Bartonshire area will be treated to his repertoire of work, spanning the last half-century, with a concert in Bishopbriggs backed by the Nova Scotia Folk Club. Certain to be a sellout, tickets are now on sale at www.ticketsource.co.uk/Nova Scotia Folk Club. This article was written by Julie Curry and read by Erin. Pupils asked to imagine the future of farming. This article was written by Julie Curry. Young writers in East End Bartonshire are being challenged to put pen to paper and bring the future of farming to life. The Royal Highland Show's nationwide short story competition is being held as part of Scotland's National Year of Reading. Open to P5 to P7 and S1 to S3 pupils, the competition aims to connect classrooms with Scotland's land, food systems, and rural communities by encouraging them to explore one of four themes: the future of farming, sustainable food production, innovation or caring for animals, crops, or the environment. Run by the Royal Highland Agricultural Society of Scotland, the Royal Highland Show has long championed education, innovation, and the future of farming. It aims to build on this legacy by inviting a new generation to imagine agriculture's future, from futuristic farming methods and rural adventure stories to exploring the connection between people, animals, and the environment. The judging panel brings together expertise from across the agriculture and the literary worlds. Children's author Catherine Stables, head of the Royal Highland Show David Tennant, and author, bookseller, and publisher Jane Baldwin. David said, "The Royal Highland Show is all about celebrating and sustaining the future of Scottish agriculture. This competition offers a unique way to help connect young people with rural Scotland, encouraging them to think creatively about how we might grow and source our food, or how innovation might support farmers in the decades ahead. We're excited to see how pupils interpret these themes and bring them to life through their storytelling. Handwritten or typed entries must be original work, with one submission per pupil. An accompanying illustration is welcomed but optional. P5 to P7 pupils are asked to submit a maximum of 250 words, and S1 to S3 pupils a maximum of 500 words. All entries should be emailed by teachers to rhsshortstorycomp@mucklemediagroup.co.uk and include the name of the pupil and their year group. The competition closes on Friday, May 15th. This year's Royal Highland Show takes place from June 18th to 21st at Ingliston. This article was written by Julie Curry and read by Erin. Wasting medicine has to end. This article is unattributed. Have you ever had to clear out bags of unused medicines for someone? Do you know what happens to them? Medicines contribute 25% of the NHS carbon footprint. Every single day in Scotland, we burn the equivalent weight of a small car, worth more than £100,000 a day in the NHS GGC area. NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde is inviting readers to attend a free virtual information event which will coincide with Glasgow's Climate Week. Readers can join a panel of local clinical leaders to hear more about the scale of the problem and what we can all do to help tackle it. The free hour-long event will take place on Thursday, May 14th at 7 p.m. and will be held on Microsoft Teams. Visit www.nhs.gov to register your interest in joining the conversation. Visit www.nhsggc.scot/pharmacy/medicines-waste/ to find out more. This article was unattributed and read by Erin.
The Battle for Bear's Den by Julie Curry. Voters will go to the polls on Thursday, May 7th to elect the constituency candidate they believe will best serve their area. In the Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald area, there are 3 constituency seats, the largest being Strathkelvin and Bearsden, which covers most of the East Dunbartonshire area. However, the Herald patch also takes in the Coatbridge and Christen seat, which covers Steps and Moodiesburn, and Glasgow Easterhouse and Springburn for the Barmulloch and Brobroyston areas. We asked each of the 17 candidates for the 3 seats to share their biography details with us to help readers make up their minds at the ballot boxes on Thursday. Here we've compiled the 5 candidates for Strathkelvin and Bearsden. Pam Gosel, Scottish Conservative Party. It's a privilege to be standing as the Scottish Conservative candidate for Strathkelvin and Bearsden. I've loved getting out on the doors and hearing about people's priorities for their area. For too long, disconnected SNP ministers at Holyrood have ignored the needs of folk in this constituency. Everyday concerns are being neglected. Roads are riddled with potholes, schools are struggling, antisocial behaviour is rising, and too many people face long waits for the healthcare they need. Instead of tackling the real issues facing people here, all the SNP do is drone on about another divisive independence referendum. It's about time that this area had a local MSP who is focused on the real issues, and if I'm chosen to represent this constituency, that's exactly what I'll do. If elected, I will build on the work I've done over the past 5 years as one of your local MSPs for West Scotland. My focus will be fixing potholes, raising educational standards, cracking down on antisocial behaviour, improving access to local healthcare, and I will continue to stand up for women's rights. Colette McDermott, Scottish Labour Party. My connection to Strathkelvin and Bearsden began in 2019 when I moved to Bishopbriggs with my husband and dog. In early 2020, I volunteered with the G64 Community Support Team, supporting residents with shopping, prescriptions, gardening and other tasks during the COVID pandemic. My career, built over 20 years across the public and charity sectors, has been defined by a drive to fix broken systems. As a public affairs officer with M&D Scotland, I changed the law twice, securing better social security and social care for people with M&D and terminal illnesses. In 2022, I was elected as a councillor for Bishopbriggs North and Campsie. In addition to assisting constituents with housing, potholes, flooding and other issues, I played a key role in bringing the banking hub to Bishopbriggs, worked closely with East Dunbartonshire Women's Aid, and strongly opposed the Glasgow congestion charge, which would unfairly penalise East Dunbartonshire commuters. Working as a councillor is incredibly rewarding, and to now have the opportunity to be your MSP, standing up for you and your family, would be an immense honour. Outside of work, you'll find me at the gym, watching football, or catching up with friends and family for coffee. Dennis Johnston, Scottish National Party. I have lived in the constituency for almost 20 years, building strong roots in the community and experience of local issues and community needs. Over that time, I've campaigned extensively across every part of the constituency, working closely with local residents, community groups and volunteers to champion local priorities. From 2017 to 2022, I represented Bearsden South on East Dunbartonshire Council, where I served as the SNP Group's education spokesperson. During my time on the council, I focused on strengthening local services, supporting schools and ensuring decisions reflected the needs of families and communities across the area. I previously worked in retail management, the energy sector, and as a caseworker supporting constituents in the area. I hold a BA Honours in International Studies from the Open University and an MA in International Relations and Global Communications from Manchester Metropolitan University. If elected, I'm determined to build on the work carried out by Rona Mackay MSP in supporting local constituents and representing communities across Strathkelvin and Bearsden. With nearly 2 decades of local experience, I'm committed to standing up for families, public services and neighbourhoods across the constituency. Adam Harley, Scottish Liberal Democrats. I grew up in Bishopbriggs and am now raising my family here. East Dunbartonshire is my community, and over the past year I've been committed to meeting and listening to as many of the people I am seeking to represent as possible. Before running for Parliament, I worked in the charity sector, campaigning to secure life-saving medicines for people with cystic fibrosis and supporting young people at risk of falling into the criminal justice system to turn their lives around. Over the past year, I have knocked on thousands of doors across the constituency to listen and take action on local concerns. I have led campaigns highlighting the cost of childcare in East Dunbartonshire and the need for improvements to local health services. I've launched petitions to improve local bus services, road safety outside schools and the maintenance of green spaces, and secured improvements to Bishopbriggs Town Centre. Time and again, people tell me how fed up they are with politics. As I say when I meet people, I can't promise to fix everything, but I will work hard, stay in touch all year round, and be honest and straightforward with you. Faten Hamid, Reform. I am a proud mother and widow whose life has been defined by resilience, hard work, and an unshakable commitment to building a better future. Born in Iraq, I came to the UK to complete my education, to rebuild my life and secure a future for my family. Starting again from nothing was not easy. As a single mother, I faced the realities of hardship, responsibility and sacrifice, but I refused to let those challenges define my limits. I earned a master's degree from the School of Veterinary Medicine at Glasgow University while raising my children alone. My journey is not theoretical, it is lived. I know what it means to struggle with the cost of living, to carry responsibility alone, and to fight for opportunities that others take for granted. That is why I stepped into politics, not for status, but for change. I stand for hard-working families, for single parents, for those who feel unheard, and for communities that have been left behind. I believe in accountability, fairness, and restoring trust between people and those who represent them. I am not a career politician. I am someone who has lived the challenges and is ready to fight for solutions. That article was written by Julie Curry. Big Stroll ended in Duke, thanks to supporters, by Julie Curry. East Dunbartonshire Befriending Service members turned their big stroll into a big splash, thanks to supporters. EDBS Senior Community Link Worker and Fundraiser Leslie Shaw roped in her fellow befriending staff members, Service Manager Dawn Bunce, Caroline McGledery, Fiona Friel and Vida Ababoni to take on the big stroll at the Glasgow Kilt Walk on Saturday, April 25th. They were joined by volunteers Lee Hodgkinson, Geraldine McCann with her friend Lynn Ralph, and Paul Harrison, who wore his kilt for the 14.5-mile walk from Clydebank to Loch Lomond. Dawn promised to take the plunge into Loch Lomond if supporters helped them reach £1,500, and to take in a fellow team member if they hit £2,000. In the end, the team managed to raise more than £3,000, and Dawn kept her promise, dragging in Paul and Fiona for a refreshing dip in the loch after their walk. She said, "It was a lovely sunny day, so it was really refreshing. It was okay up to the knees, but it was a bit nippier when we went under fully. A promise is a promise, though, and we were all delighted to have raised more than £3,000 for the service. We'd like to thank everyone who supported us. It's a huge boost for us." Sadly, an injury prevented Leslie joining the team on the day. However, she transported members to and from the walk, cheered them on along the way, and met them at the finish line with wellness packs to restore their energy. As for the walk itself, it was hard going, but the camaraderie kept the team going. Dawn said, "Everyone was walking for different charities, and it really helped keep your spirits up. One of the things that touched us most was seeing a display by children from the sick kids, thanking people for walking for them and wee notes of encouragement. That bit really got to us." In addition to Leslie supporting them on the walk and the Loch Lomond Duke, Dawn had her own biggest supporters there to cheer her on. She added, "My mum Maddie, who is a volunteer befriender, and my 14-year-old daughter Poppy, gave me a huge hug at the finish line. It was lovely to see them both." That article was written by Julie Curry and it was read by Jahan. Colette Eyes Up a Fourth Victory by Kevin McRoberts. Scottish Labour candidate Colette McDermott says she's eyeing a fourth victory for her party in the Strathkelvin and Bearsden constituency. And she says that during her campaigning she has sensed a desire for change. Colette said, "For the first time in 20 years, you have the opportunity to change the government in Scotland. It is an opportunity to move on from the SNP, fix the mess and get the basics right." She pointed out that Scottish Labour had won Strathkelvin and Bearsden 3 times and finished second twice. The SNP have also won 3 times. No other party has held the seat. The Liberal Democrats have never won here. Their best result was 3rd in 2003, she said. The Conservatives haven't won here and Reform won't win here. A vote for anyone other than Scottish Labour is a vote for the status quo. My team and I have been out campaigning for over a year. In the last 6 months we've had almost 9,000 doorstep conversations. Engaging with voters is what our campaign is all about. Voters tell me that they are fed up with how things currently are, and I tell them what Scottish Labour will do to fix it. We will cut NHS waiting lists and end the ATM rush for a GP appointment. We will reduce childcare costs, deliver 9,000 apprenticeships, hire classroom assistants, and ban mobile phones in classrooms. We will reform business rates, build 125,000 new homes, and invest £350 million to repair potholes. I am a local councillor with 20+ years of experience who has successfully changed the law twice for people living with terminal illness, including motor neuron disease. Strathkelvin and Bearsden deserves an MSP with a real track record of delivery. That article was written by Kevin McRoberts. Pam's election campaign is real. This article is unattributed. Scottish Conservative candidate for Strathkelvin and Bearsden has hit back at an opponent's criticism of her election campaign. Scottish Liberal Democrat candidate Adam Harley claimed in last week's Herald that neither Labour nor the Conservatives were running real campaigns in Strathkelvin and Bearsden constituency, because they know that only Scottish Liberal Democrats can beat the SNP. However, both Scottish Labour's Colette McDermott and Scottish Conservative candidate Pam Gosal have responded to say that their campaigns are most definitely real, and that they are making every effort to secure the votes of the electorate in the constituency. Pam commented, "Myself and my team have knocked on almost 20,000 doors across Strathkelvin and Bearsden since last October. I've worked tirelessly as an MSP for the West of Scotland region over the last 5 years, representing residents and businesses across the constituency. My Liberal Democrat opponent should concentrate on his own campaign instead of making things up about mine." Pam continued, "During this election campaign, I've been speaking to voters who are seeing their bills going up while public services have got worse under the SNP. They are sick and tired of paying more and getting less. It's vital the pro-UK voters in Strathkelvin and Bearsden back the Scottish Conservative on their peach ballot paper to stop an SNP majority and elect common-sense MSPs who will demand lower taxes, paid for by getting a grip on the Nationalists' out-of-control benefits bill." That article was unattributed. Parties are also vying for region list votes. This article is unattributed. In addition to the 3 constituency seats, a number of candidates are also vying for readers' votes to become a regional list MSP. Residents in each of our villages and towns will be represented by 8 members of the Scottish Parliament, MSPs, 1 for their constituency area and 7 for the larger electoral region in which they live. As well as casting 1 vote for a constituency MP, voters will also be asked to vote for 1 party candidate as their regional list MSP. In the patch covered by Strathkelvin and Bearsden constituency, there are 20 parties or independent candidates campaigning for the West Scotland region. Voters in the Glasgow, Easterhouse and Springburn constituency will cast 1 vote for the 17 parties or independent candidates listed for the Glasgow region list MSP. And readers in the Coatbridge and Christon constituency will cast their vote for 1 of 15 parties listed in the Central Scotland and Lothians West region. Voters will be given 2 ballot papers, a lilac one for the constituency contest and a peach one for the political party or independent candidate to represent their region. Voters are asked to cast just 1 vote on each ballot. For a full list of candidates standing for parties or as independents, visit whocanivotefor.co.uk. The Scottish Parliament election will take place on Thursday, May the 7th. Polling stations will open across the country from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Anyone who lives in Scotland and is registered to vote is eligible to take part, as long as they are 16 or over on the day of the poll. That article was unattributed. Stomp is stepping up the pace to support SAMH. By Julie Curry. Scotland's national mental health charity is calling on supporters to put their best foot forward to raise funds. SAMH, or Scottish Action for Mental Health, is encouraging readers to get involved in the revival of SAMH Stomp, a stair-climbing challenge where every penny raised makes a difference. Returning after a 6-year hiatus, the event will see SAMH and its supporters take over Hampden on Saturday, October 10th, World Mental Health Day. Registrations opened on Monday, with participants given the choice of completing either a single or double lap of the steps in the stadium, totalling 4,968 stairs, or a whopping 9,936. As the last Stomp was held virtually due to the COVID-19 lockdown in 2020, this year's event marks an opportunity to bring together mental health supporters from across the country. Hazel McElwraith, the charity's fundraising director, said, "We want everyone to get behind the return of SAMH Stomp. You don't need to be an elite athlete to take part. Our strength is in our numbers. Every step, every cheer and every stomp echoes far beyond the stands of Scotland's most iconic stadium, raising vital funds and awareness for mental health support." This is our first big public event since the pandemic, so as well as being a fantastic opportunity to fundraise, it's also a chance for us all to get together to show our support and make our voices heard. Gather your friends, family and workmates, or come as you are, and join Team SAMH as we step up the pace in our mission for a Scotland where anyone can ask once and get help fast. Ali Bowen, an SAMH supporter from Dundee who took part in the most recent stomp, said the sense of community was a key motivator to get involved. She said, "2019 was one of the hardest times in my life. I lost my partner and his mum just a month apart. Taking part in SAMH Stomp helped me turn that grief into something meaningful and showed me I wasn't alone. During lockdown in 2020, being unable to see loved ones was heartbreaking, and it made me realise just how vital mental health support really is. That's why I've continued supporting SAMH, raising around £6,000 in total and helping spread awareness. It's also why people should take part in SAMH Stomp 2026, because every step makes a difference for yourself and others who need to know they're not alone." SAMH operates around 70 services in communities around Scotland. This includes the Nook, Scotland's first national network of walk-in mental health and wellbeing support hubs. The first Nook is now open in Glasgow, with the Nook in Aberdeen to open this summer and 3 more to follow across the country. To register for the Hampden event, visit samh.org.uk/stomp. SAMH has been supporting Scotland's mental health for more than 100 years. It currently operates more than 70 services in communities around the country, providing social care support as well as addiction and employment services. Visit samh.org.uk or follow SAMH Scotland on TikTok, SAMH Mental Health on Facebook, and SAMH Scotland on Instagram. That article was written by Julie Curry.
A Qualification in Heritage Care by Julie Curry, reporter, read by Karen McPhee. Scottish community groups caring for their heritage, creating and conducting guided tours and investigating how climate change is impacting on heritage can now achieve national accreditation. Environmental charity Keep Scotland Beautiful has launched a new certificate in cultural heritage, credit rated by Qualification Scotland as part of the Our Heritage, Our Future programme. The aim of the qualification is to support people to understand the importance of our built, natural and cultural heritage in Scotland, develop specific heritage-related skills and celebrate success of all candidates. Lisa Snedden, Our Heritage, Our Future coordinator with Keep Scotland Beautiful, said, "We are excited to be able to offer this new Qualification Scotland credit-rated training programme. It aims to explore, enhance and celebrate local community action which is being taken to tackle environmental and heritage challenges across the country. The new national accreditation will support people to highlight their successes and amplify their voices. We are pleased to already be working within the heritage environment to help people complete units of the course and would encourage anyone in Scotland with an interest in finding out more to get in touch." To complete the certificate in cultural heritage, all candidates must undertake their mandatory unit, Sharing Heritage Stories, as well as 3 others. They include Caring for Heritage, Creating and Conducting Guided Tours, Creating Exhibitions and Displays, Exploring Identity, Diversity and Representation, Impacts of Climate Change on Heritage, Preparing for Heritage Volunteering and Recording the Heritage Environment. There is also an option to complete individual units. A number of communities are already working on one of the 8 units, rated as SCQF Levels 5 or 6, which make up the qualification. They include members of Clackmannanshire Economic Regeneration Trust in Alloa, who completed their Preparation for Heritage Volunteering Unit training last week. The Certificate in Cultural Heritage is the first qualification to be SCQF credit rated under the Qualifications Scotland name and was formally approved on March the 5th. Natalie Tweedy, Customised Awards and Credit Rating Manager, said, "SCQF credit rating allows learners' achievement to be formally recognised within national and European frameworks, giving learners, employers and education providers confidence that qualifications meet recognised standards. It's fantastic to see the third-party credit rating service continue to grow under Qualifications Scotland. The Certificate in Cultural Heritage is a strong example of how customers can gain formal recognition for bespoke learning. To find out more about the Certificate in Cultural Heritage and how it could benefit your community group, email communities@keepscotlandbeautiful.org or visit www.keepscotlandbeautiful.org/Our Heritage, Our Future. Our Heritage, Our Future is made possible with funding from Historic Environment Scotland and the National Lottery Heritage Fund, with grateful thanks to National Lottery players. City exit the Scottish Cup in extra time heartbreak. Read by Karen McPhee. Glasgow City head coach Leanne Ross described her side's Scottish Cup exit as hugely frustrating. City lost 3-2 after extra time as they faced Celtic for the second time in a week at Hampden on Saturday. There was nothing to separate the sides when they drew 1-1 at Petershill Park in the SWPL 1 3 days prior. It was a similar story at the weekend as Saoirse Noonan gave Celtic the lead after 27 minutes, but Linda Mathallo equalised with 8 minutes to go. This sent the game into extra time, with Amy Gallagher and Shannon McGregor putting Celtic 3-1 up before Emily Gray pulled one back at the death. Ross told the club's media team, "It was hugely frustrating. I thought we started the game really well. We looked like we were on it in terms of possession and creating opportunities, but the bit that was missing was putting the ball in the back of the net. Celtic defended their box really well and kind of nullified us in that respect, and conceding the goal really shifts the momentum towards half-time. We regrouped in the second half, really looked like we were going to get that equaliser and deserved to take it to extra time, but we've been punished for not defending our box properly." City return to league action this Sunday as they head to Hibernian, now trailing leaders Hearts by 4 points. Ross said, "We're on a run just now where we haven't had great results, but we've had 3 massive games to go and we are still up there fighting." In Need of New Backing to Go On by Brian Yule, reporter, read by Karen McPhee. Caledonian Locomotives look unlikely to be completing in the West of Scotland League next season due to financial issues. The club was formed as Rossvale in 2010 before being rebranded in 2023, with a new Rossvale now competing in the 4th Division. Locos have endured a difficult season as they sit second bottom of the 2nd Division, winning just 6 of 29 games, although things had looked up in the past week with back-to-back wins over Thorn Athletic. However, club chairman Dom McNally put out a statement last week that suggested this could now be the end of the road. He wrote, "As we reach the end of this season, it has become very apparent that due to the withdrawal of agreed funding for next season, the club is now facing a significant financial shortfall. This situation leaves the club with no agreed sponsors in place and insufficient funds to start next season. It would therefore be unprofessional and irresponsible to commit to competing next season. We will continue to actively seek new sponsors and backers over the coming weeks in the hope the club can overcome this challenge." No Excuses as Glasgow Well Beaten by Phil Lanning, correspondent, read by Karen McPhee. Glasgow Tigers boss Cammy Brown said there were no excuses after the home defeat to Edinburgh Monarchs on Sunday. The sides met for the second time in the BSN series, having drawn 45-45 at Armadale last month. This time, Monarchs left Ashfield with a 49-41 victory, meaning it is the capital side who qualify for the semi-finals, along with Berwick Bandits from the Scottish group. This is already the second competition Tigers have gone out of at this early stage of the season, having been beaten by Plymouth Gladiators in the KO Cup. The hosts were once again blighted with mechanical issues, but the Monarchs were a class apart in every department. They emerged quicker from the start in almost every race as the home side were off the pace. There were brief bright moments for the Tigers. Mario Housel got his first race win for the club in a much-needed 5-1 with Chris Harris in Heat 10. Kyle Howarth then roared under Dan Thompson in the next race to help the home side go in front. But it was short-lived. Lewis Flint's bike gave up the ghost in Heat 12 and the visitors were back in command. The victory was sealed in the final race as Harris's bike didn't get off the start line and Monarchs hit a 5-1. Brown said, "No excuses, we were beaten by the better side. We were outgated, outfought and outclassed on the day. Congratulations to Edinburgh, they thoroughly deserved the win and to go through with Berwick. We were so poor out of the start. We had a bit of a fight in heats 10 and 11, and Kyle Howarth pulled off a determined pass of Dan Thompson. We did have a few bike issues for the second week running, but I'm not using that as an excuse. We were second best to Edinburgh. This defeat leaves us with a lot to think about. We'll have to assess where we go from here. It was a very disappointing performance. We have Plymouth back at Ashfield on Friday, and we simply can't afford to slip up. Tigers will be looking for a bit of revenge over Gladiators for their cup exit when they host Devonside in the Championship opener this Friday. Over 750,000 accounts are unclaimed. Read by Karen McPhee. The government will contact thousands of young people about Forgotten Child Trust Funds, CTFs, in a bid to reunite account holders with their accounts, worth £2,200 on average. CTFs were introduced in 2005 to ensure every child had access to an asset on which to build a financial future once they reached 18. The scheme ran for children born between the 1st of September 2002 and the 2nd of January 2011. An awareness campaign is urging young people to locate their CTFs through the free Find My Child Trust Fund service on gov.uk. Many young people are unaware they have a CTF, and over 750,000 accounts are unclaimed. HMRC will be writing to all 21-year-olds whose accounts remain unclaimed to make them aware. Lucy Rigby, Economic Secretary to the Treasury, said, "Hundreds of thousands of young people in this country don't know they have a CTF, let alone how to access it. I'm determined those who have CTFs are made aware they have this money." Vying for Readers' Votes by Julie Curry, reporter, read by Karen McPhee. There are 6 candidates battling for the ballot box votes on Thursday in the Glasgow Easterhouse and Springburn constituency. Covering Barmulloch, Balornock and Rob Royston in the Herald's patch, we asked each candidate to submit their biography ahead of readers casting their vote on May the 7th. We've compiled their statements here, giving readers a chance to choose who to elect as their representative in the Scottish Parliament. Paul Sweeney, Scottish Labour Party. I was born at Stolphill Hospital in 1989 and grew up in Auchinleern and Milton. My mum works in a bank, my dad was a shipyard sheet metal worker, and my brother is a plasterer. That working class upbringing is still at the core of who I am. I joined the Labour and Cooperative Party in 2008 because I wanted to fight for the communities that raised me. I was the first in my family to go to university, graduating from the University of Glasgow in 2011. I served in the Army Reserve and followed a family tradition working in the Clyde shipyards. In 2017 I was proud to win back Glasgow North East for Labour on an unexpected swing. I stood up in Parliament condemning Tory austerity's damage to families like mine. I fought to save 200 jobs at the historic St Rolloch's Cally Railway Works in Springburn, securing its listing and seeing it reopen with new contracts. I've pushed for massive new investment in our shipyards and as Shadow Mental Health Minister campaigned for the overdose prevention pilot in Glasgow and support for our veterans. I've just secured a huge breakthrough restoring the Springburn Winter Gardens, and I'm leading the campaign to bring Glasgow's buses back under public control for affordable, reliable services. I'm standing as Labour's candidate for the new Glasgow Easterhouse and Springburn constituency because this is my home. After 20 years of the SNP, failing services, a housing emergency and lost chances for our young people have taken their toll. I'm determined to deliver the investment we need in schools, GP access, decent homes and good jobs so our proud communities can thrive again. Ivan McKee, Scottish National Party. Since 2016 I've been honoured to represent Glasgow Provan in the Scottish Parliament, covering Rob Royston, Barmulloch and Balornock. Over that time my office has helped thousands of constituents with issues ranging from housing to schools to health and many others. Prior to entering politics I enjoyed a 30-year career in manufacturing and business, life experience I put to good use getting results on behalf of constituents and the local area. Your priorities are my priorities. Constituents are concerned about the cost of living. If elected as part of an SNP government, I will deliver cheaper public transport through a £2 cap on all bus fares and the continued abolition of peak rail fares, £10,000 for first-time buyers to get on the property ladder alongside record investment in social house building, delivery of 150,000 apprenticeships, continued reduction in the long NHS waits and the rollout of GP walk-in clinics with no appointment, avoiding the 8 a.m. rush. Our £350 million Better Surfaces Fund will support local councils to fix potholes. In Glasgow, we will fund the refurbishment of the People's Palace and Winter Gardens so they can reopen and support developing plans for the Clyde metro system. Josephine Obo MacLeod, Scottish Conservative Party. I am honoured to be standing for election, and it's been fantastic to get out on the doors and hear about people's priorities for their local area. For too long, out-of-touch SNP ministers in Edinburgh have ignored the needs of people in this area. Roads are scarred with potholes, educational standards have plummeted, antisocial behaviour is out of control, and folk can't get access to the healthcare they desperately need. Labour are nowhere to be seen, while all the SNP do is bang on about another divisive independence referendum. It's about time that folk in Glasgow, Easterhouse and Springburn had a local MSP who is focused on the real issues, and that's my promise to people in this constituency. I would use my extensive experience in the business and charity sector to bring the change that this area needs. If elected, I will prioritise fixing potholes, raising educational standards, cracking down on antisocial behaviour, improving access to local healthcare, and ensuring local community centres remain open to the public. Audrey Dempsey, Reform UK Party. I am not a career politician, nor a polished one. I am a working-class mum and gran who has spent years on the front line of Glasgow's addiction, mental health and poverty crisis, supporting those suffering the most. Born, raised and still living in the northeast of Glasgow, I know firsthand the pressures families face daily. In 2017, I founded Glasgow's #1 baby and family support service from my own garage. Today it has supported over 69,000 people in 9 years, providing clothing, personal care, furniture, crisis support, mental health support and suicide intervention for those in need. Elected as a councillor in 2022 with a record-breaking vote, I have built a reputation for saying what others won't and getting things done. My work has earned national recognition, including the British Empire Medal and a Points of Light award. I believe too many politicians have lost touch with real life. My campaign is rooted in common sense, tackling the housing crisis, supporting local businesses and making sure public money goes where it makes a real difference. I am a voice for the forgotten, bringing genuine experience, not empty promises. Kenneth Nwosu, Scottish Common Party. I am an engineer, a community leader, a husband, a father and a man stepping forward into public service, having worked hard, raised a family and built a life here in Glasgow for the past 2 decades. After seeing too many families under pressure due to housing issues, the rising cost of living, pressures on public services and many communities feeling unheard, I knew it was the right time for me to step forward. I am standing not for status or power, but to serve. I believe politics should be about honesty, fairness, practical solutions and leadership people can trust, not empty promises or party games. Glasgow has given me and my family opportunity, stability and a sense of belonging. Standing in this election is my way of giving back by serving with sincerity, listening carefully and putting the people of Easterhouse and Springburn first. Nicholas Mouhan, Scottish Liberal Democrats. The Herald contacted Nicholas Mouhan along with all other candidates, as well as reaching out to the party's press office. Sadly, Mr Mouhan was unable to submit his inclusion in time for the newspaper going to print on Monday afternoon. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Bishopbriggs and Kirkintilloch Herald, recorded by Q and Review Recording Service for Wednesday, May the 6th, 2026. If you want to contact us, please call 0141 772 3976.